really excited to show you him. Like I said in their intro, they're two just completely opposite horses, and to me it's so much fun working with them. And I think you'll see right off the bat what I mean too. Cowboy is just so much lazier and easier going, but at the same time he's got that attitude that says like, what kind of trouble can I get into anywhere? You know, he's so curious and interested in so many things. So our workout program has to be a little bit different, whereas Loki can get a little bit more nervous, but he's also a lot more kind of quiet going about, you know, he's not so curious and things like that and interested. So with Loki, I can take my time a little bit more and just kind of easy stuff here and there, where Cowboy is going to have to be, you know, really get the job done and be a little quicker and introduce things a little quicker and get rid of them a little quicker as well, just to keep his mind fresh and interested on the job. So just like Loki, you know, it's important to get them flexing right off the bat, isolating the head and neck. This horse is extremely light already. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this. It's important that he understands to get off the lightest pressure, and I can place his head and neck wherever I want to, no matter what his body's doing. So I'll spend some time doing this. Because he is a little bit naturally softer than Loki, for the last couple days I've also been teaching him how to give to 2-rein pressure, which all I want him to do right now is just get off of that pressure, and then I let that go. I'm not too concerned about a headset or anything like that at this point. I just want him to understand if he feels both the sides of his mouth has pressure on it, just please find a way off of that, and I'll reward him instantly for that. I'm not going to hold it for too long. I'm just going to say, thank you, very good. Now you'll notice at times when I start moving him around and say like bending him around my leg and stuff, he's a little bit more mouthy than Loki. And actually he's the norm, whereas Loki, having a horse being that quiet in their mouth after only 7 rides in their whole life, is pretty strange. Where he is at is pretty much the norm, whereas this is his 6th ride. He had a day off where Loki didn't. But this is the 6th ride in his life, so, you know, just don't make a big deal out of that stuff. Think they've only had that snaffle bit in their mouth a few times. So the fact that they're kind of, you know, mouthing at it a little bit is just them trying to find the answer. I don't really worry about that. It just gradually gets better and better as we go along. So, but you will notice that he's definitely more mouthy than the other one, and I just kind of laugh at him. He's such a silly horse. But anyway, let's not waste too much time. Let's get him moving around. Just like Loki, I want to bend him around my leg right off the bat. So I'm pulling inside rein and inside leg, and you see how, you know, it just doesn't take much of anything to get this horse to be soft. He really likes to be soft. He even starts to tuck his nose on his own already, which I'm not really asking for, but if he's offering it, you know, I'm not going to discourage him from that at all. But what you will see is that he almost wants to stop while doing this. I'm going to take my Makati over here and slap him over here a couple times and say, hey, we'll wake up just a little bit, pal. We're going forward here. This is a forward exercise. So go ahead and maintain that for me. So I'm keeping him in the circles a little longer as well, because he's just a little bit better at it. If they're further along than some of the other ones, don't be afraid to push their limits just a little bit. In my opinion, in order to get a horse to improve, they have to be slightly uncomfortable. I kind of relate it to us working out or stretching or anything like that. If we go to the gym and lift some weights, but aren't uncomfortable whatsoever, the weights are light and we can do it very easily, we're not going to get any stronger or in any better shape. But if we just barely push our limits and get slightly uncomfortable, then we're going to get stronger and stronger all the time. Whereas if we push our limits too much, we're going to get an injury. And that's just like the horses as well. They have to be slightly uncomfortable to improve, but if we make them very uncomfortable, they're either going to resist us mentally or they're going to get an injury. So be careful how much you push it, but it is important that you're always kind of testing them and seeing how far they can get. So, you know, Cowboy, he's better at some things than Loki, and Loki's better at some things than Cowboy. But whatever they are good at, I'm going to keep on pushing a little bit more, where the things that they struggle with, I'm going to let them find it on their own time. None of this, I don't have a time limit on any of this. They're going to do it on their time, and they're going to get better at their own pace. I guarantee you, a couple months down the road when I videotape each of them again, you're going to notice one may be really, really advanced in one exercise, where the other is still maybe pretty mediocre at it, and vice versa. That's no big deal. So I've been in this rib cage here, and I like what I'm seeing. Going to the right, you'll notice his body isn't quite as rounded as it is to the left. When he's going to the left, his body is kind of in a nice uniform shape, whereas going to the right, he bends his head and neck, but he kind of leaves his shoulders out here and his butt's kind of straight. What I might do is just stick my leg back a little and get him to cross over those back feet, just like that. What that'll do is it'll help round out that body a little more and soften up the rib cage. You don't want them to be too straight. They can kind of fool you sometimes when they're going in these circles. Make sure they're really There we go, pushing that rib cage around. This is a rib cage exercise, it's not a shoulder exercise. So make sure that you understand that you're working the right body part. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce yielding the forequarters, just like we did with Loki. This is his second day as well. He learned this yesterday, so I'm expecting 2 steps from him. Yielding the rib cage, left leg, left rein. Now I'm going to open up the door on my left and close the door on my right. There's 1 step and 2 steps, and then I'm going to go right back in my circle. That was very, very nice. I love the fact that as soon as I applied my right leg pressure and that right rein on his neck a little bit, he just instantly found that. So I just, even though it was slow, speed has nothing to do with the exercise right now. It's just, is he getting off of the pressure and is he finding the correct answer? So open the door to the left, close the door to the right, 1 step, and 2, let me get it there. That last one, he was leaning on my leg a little bit, so I rolled my spur just a little bit up his side and said, don't lean so much. He was going to the left, but he was leaning over like this. And that's just something that I can feel probably better than you can see. It's important that they're getting off the pressure, not just kind of, okay, I'll go that way. They really need to try to get off of it. So press over here, 1 step, and 2 steps. Very good. So that's good enough. And if you can get a few times in a row improvements from the day before, just move on to something else, or in this case, just a new direction. You have to work on each side of them because each side of their brain processes information separately from the other. Bend him around my leg here. Open the door to the right, close it to my left. I really like that move. Very nice. He's getting soft with his head and neck. He's really finding that look and that answer, and he's getting very, very balanced. And I really like that. You know, this horse, he's not near as athletic as Loki, the Palomino, but he's much more balanced. You know, whenever he's moved around, he seems to always be looking in the right direction. And he's really soft in the body and elevated in the back. You'll see when I start loping him a little bit, he's just naturally one of the most collected horses I've ever seen. And it's fun to watch. I think you guys will have the same idea. So there was 3 steps. You see what I mean? And the balance, he's finding that so easily on his own. And I can't say that has anything to do, you know, with me doing just such a spectacular job with him. I feel I started him very right and took my time and prepared him. But at the same time, this horse is very naturally talented on his own. So, you know, he makes me look good, and I have no problem with that. And there's 3 steps. Very good. So I'm going to move away from that. No point in harping on that when it's an improvement from yesterday. So what you'll notice I won't do as much on him as I would with Loki is I'm not going to work on my going and stopping near as much. Let me just go ahead and talk to you for a little bit. As soon as we started him, last week one of my clients came over and helped me start both of them, and she actually gave the first ride on both of them. And normally, like I told you with the last horse, when you sit down and give them that 2 seconds to stop, they don't start stopping until about 5 to 15 rides down the road. Well, Cowboy here, as soon as my client sat down for the first time, he just slammed on the brakes and said, "Oh, did you mean stop?" Because he just loves being still, being lazy. So stop was kind of one of the first things on his mind. So he's done that ever since day 1. So what I don't want to do is have him overthink about the stop. So what I want to do is actually ride him a lot more forward, think he can get forward on his mind, and every now and again I'll work a stop in there, but I don't want it to be too much there. Whereas the other one still, you know, sometimes he stops to my seat, sometimes he doesn't. So until I get that real consistent, I'm going to keep go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, and really work that into the program. But with him, I don't really want to do that too much, or else what's going to happen is he's going to have this go, stop type motion all the time. So what I will do is I'll actually load some patterns a lot more with them, and probably for a little bit longer duration as well. So just to make sure I can reiterate that when I ask him to go, I want him to stay going. So I'm just going to go straight to do a little cloverleaf exercise and work it through. We'll start on the left-hand pattern and just make our little quarters as we go through. Let's go ahead and ask him to load. So find this left answer. Remember, just hold it, and there. So it took him quite a while to find that, but as soon as he found it, I let go of that pressure. So I'm looking left, I'm guiding, and release. Put those hands forward when they find the right answer. Find my focus point, and left, and release. Now here, there we go. Left hand front. So focus, point, let them find it, and then put your hands forward. Very important when you're riding those horses forward, you're looking forward. Let's see here at the camera. I'm looking straight at the camera, hands forward, 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 and now left. If you don't have a lot of focus yourself, they're never going to find that right answer. If you don't even know the answer, there's no way they're going to know the answer. Left. He felt like he was dying down a little bit, so I kind of hit him just a little bit with my right leg there and clucked at him a couple times and said, hey, I need you to get off that rein a little bit and maintain your momentum. There, that was a nice soft turn for him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to reward him. That was the first time on that corner right there that I pulled him just a little bit left like that, and he instantly followed with his shoulders. So I wanted to tell him that he did a good job and just let him think about that for a second. What I mean by that is I pulled left like that, and he kind of ran out to the right still, and it just took him a few extra steps. And that's no problem. I mean, it's no big deal at this stage. That happens, and it's just all a process with him. But because he did that one so much better than the others, I wanted to tell him, hey, there's something that you're figuring out right there. So right now, he's probably thinking, hey, I get a rest right here. I wonder what I did so good. So that's very important that you find those times where if it's consistently one way and then he shows you something better, just go ahead and stop and rest him. Even just a couple minutes of a rest is more than enough for him to say, hey, I like whatever I just did right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing going to the right. Let's pick my right hand pattern. So let's see there, I clucked a few times and he didn't mean to trot for me, so I went ahead and spanked him. Same thing if I kiss and he doesn't go, I'll go ahead and spank him as well. Just squeeze. Yes, and very good. So see how I'm kind of pulling right and he still goes left? That's very, very typical at this early stage. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just hold, 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 release. Even though he overshot my target area, that's no big deal. This is all a learning process for him. Left, hold, release. That was nice. Did you hear? So what I'm going to do here. Okay. So he started seeing the end and started to anticipate going one way, and then I straightened him out, and then he anticipated going the other, so it was backward, backward, backward. So what I wanted to do was ride him straight to the fence and just stop there, saying, maybe sometimes we'll just go all the way to the fence and stop. That way he's not going to start to anticipate too early. That's a real typical thing for them to do. No big deal. Then I'll move on and try again. That was nice. Much better. So look at the camera. Pull, release. Very nice. Nice and straight right there. I really, really like that. Look, pull. That was really good. I'm going to stop him here again. Sit. I love how he's finding that. I stopped him again because when I pulled right there, he really followed right there, and that was really positive for him. So I want to go ahead and let him know that he's doing a good job. Spend some time flexing. I like to flex my horses a lot, even when they're just sitting still resting. Push his shoulders there. I love that. When they're sitting there resting, whatever you do at that particular time, they're going to start to associate with good things. For instance, if you work them hard and then spend a couple minutes flexing and resting, they're going to say, boy, I love flexing because that's something that we do when we rest. And it's also a relaxation type of deal. So when I start to take him into new areas, trail rides or new arenas, shows down the road, if I start flexing him, he's instantly going to start saying, oh, this is the happy place. I really enjoy this. And it's going to be a lot easier to get his mind off of, the new type of stimulus and back onto you. So it's something that I use to my advantage quite a bit. Really enjoy having a horse that as soon as you start flexing them, they just get real quiet looking and real soft in their eye, licking their lips and stuff like that. They just really say, oh, thank you. So that's something that's real important that you understand as well. So just like we did with Loki, I'm going to take him to the fence now, start to introduce side passing. This is the second day in a row with this as well. So all I'm looking for is a couple steps. Drive him straight up into the fence, let him sit here. I'm going to start with my left leg. Remember that saying, calf, spur, roll, kick. I'm going to go through the same type of scenario with him and just get him off of that leg. Calf, spur, roll, there. So there's a couple steps. As soon as I started rolling, he started coming off of that, so I just continue with that much pressure. I'm not going to increase the pressure if he's trying for it. Calf, spur, with this time. So I just let him do it because he really tried to get off my leg, and that was a really nice try. Try again. Calf. There, I love that. I really like that he's trying to get off just my calf. It took a couple of corrections for him to do it, but now he's really putting in some effort. Calf. Oh, that was really light. There we go. Good. Now let's see if I can get him to go off of my right leg. Calf. Spur. Roll. There we go. Couple steps and just release. I don't want you guys to get into a habit of trying to hold them during this. You've been pulling back on both reins. Have those reins loose, and they're only there to correct them from going left and right. One rein at a time. Calf, spur, roll, roll. There we go. Couple of really nice steps right there. Calf. Nice. That was definitely pretty good. Calf. I'm going to put it a little further back, though. He's getting confused there. And there. He kicked over the butt just a little bit. So his butt was way over here, so I wanted to put my leg back and see if I can isolate that part and kick it over. Calf, spur, roll. Good. Calf. Very nice. Good boy. Calf, spur. Good. Calf. Very good. So now I'm going to walk them down the line and introduce the leg yield as well. Very important that these horses understand how to move forward with that lateral movement as well. Tilt his nose into the fence, press with my left leg, and that was a nice step right there. Definitely, really more than what I was expecting. That was very, very good. Let me go ahead and turn him and go the other way. I think it'll be a little bit better viewed for the camera. So don't waste the turn. You see how I use what we've already taught him, yielding the four-quarters through that turn? If you have an opportunity to turn them, don't just, lazily, just pull on a rein and turn them. Do something that we've worked on, yield his rib cage or yield his four-quarters. Really good right there. Very, very nice. I think this horse is going to have a really easy time moving laterally. Even though he's kind of on the lazy side, he's so soft and supple already. I think it's going to be pretty easy for him to move that way, which is great because it's going to help me, teaching him lead changes and spins and, some more advanced maneuvers. He's probably going to be able to take hold of those pretty easily. All right, so once I start going down the fence line, you gather up my reins, pull, press with my right leg, roll my spur up there. There we go. So I pressed, and then I pressed with my spur, and he didn't get off, so I just rolled it a couple times, and then he got off. Try again. Calf, spur. Very nice. Good boy, Cowboy. Let's try it just a little bit off the fence and see if he understands. Press. Good. He lost a little bit of forward momentum, but it wasn't too bad. He yield his rib cage right here around my leg. He needs to get that butt going. There we go. He wasn't really going in a circle. He was going in a straight line. That's better. I'll walk him over here and get him off my left leg. Press. There we go. So you remember what I told you with Loki, don't be concerned what the head's doing. If they can't even do it with their feet, there's no point in trying to collect up the head. Well, Cowboy's so soft naturally, he's kind of doing it on his own without me even asking for it. I'll kind of pull him over here and press, and he just kind of tucks his nose and everything. I'm not really asking him to do it, and he doesn't have to do it, but it's pretty natural and easy for him, so I'm definitely not going to discourage him from that whatsoever. So since he is so soft, what I might do is start trotting some little circles and teaching him how to collect up to forward motion. And the way that I do that is I make contact on the reins and I squeeze with my legs at the same time. And what the idea is you want to drive the hind into the front. So pulling on the reins just lightly will kind of create a block, and driving with your legs pushes that hind in under them and rounds the back. I don't care what the head and neck does. If you're not driving from behind, you're not being collected. So it's very important that you understand that. So I like to start asking them at the trot rather than the walk, because at the walk they tend to get real lazy with it, and they don't push as much, whereas at the trot they do push a little more. So it's a little easier to start off at the trot than it is at the walk. So, cluck, 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 get them trotting. So as we go around here, so as you can see right now, my reins are loose. What I'll do is I'll kind of sit at the trot, squeeze, and pick up on the reins, and then I'll release them. All he has to do is instantly give for a split second, and then I release. The reason I say it's just a split second is because he doesn't know any better, so I'm not going to ask him to hold for 10 seconds when he'll have a tendency to say, well, I thought I was doing something right, but I guess not. The pressure's not going to go away, so I'll try something else. I want, as soon as he finds the right answer, for me to say, yep, that's it, Cowboy, that's all I'm looking for. So I'll ask him again. So I squeeze at the same second that I pick up on the reins. Squeeze, and there, he found it again. I'm going to drop that and release that. I'll do it as I'm coming by you here. Squeeze, pick up, and there, he found it. Very, very nice. Dive down, I clucked at him, nothing happened. So I spanked him. There we go. Squeeze him up into that bridle. Very good. This all starts with just an instantaneous give. As soon as he tries, I get there. 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 See what I mean? That if you hold it, you're just going to create problems for yourself, guys. Don't get in too much of a rush with it. Ask for a split second today, and really spend a few days only getting a split second. Then after a few days, maybe try to get one full second. And then after that, try to get a few full seconds. Just like that, and give to them. No point in making this too fast, because it'll only actually get worse over time. Since he actually picked that up really well at the trot, I'm going to go ahead and lope him and see if he can understand what I'm asking as well. So right around, squeeze him into the bridle. Very nice right there. It's actually pretty rare, guys, for a horse to do this so naturally this early. But like I said, if they're particularly talented in one area, don't be afraid to challenge them a little bit. I probably won't do this with Loki for maybe another week or maybe even 2 weeks. But that doesn't mean that Cowboy's not ready for it. Turn him left here. So I'll pick up, squeeze, and engage. Release. It's only a split second, so it's probably hard for you guys to see, but I feel his back really round there, really rounding out as he pushes with that. That's why it's so important to drive from behind. Drive, 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 there. The reason I held on there is because he didn't give right away, so I kept on waiting until he actually softened up and raised his back a little bit. Squeeze. There, very good. See if I can get a little stop and a back up out of him. Sit down. Very good stop. Back up. It's lazy as always, but you know, he is a lazy horse, and that doesn't discourage me from anything. They can be lazy and you can still get a lot out of them. You just have to give them reasons to try. So that backup was kind of slow, but it's all he knows at this point. Okay, so I'm going to reward him for it, even though I'm saying, boy, you know, you could crawl faster than that. But I don't want to say just because you should be able to or could, doesn't mean you have to now. But now, if he backs up that lazy in 3 or 4 days, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little leg. So I'll sit, and this is the cue to back up, and then I'll tap one leg and tap the next, tap, tap. So at his stage, this is all he knows. And he just learned it yesterday, so I'm not going to discourage him for that. But if it doesn't get any better day after day, then I'll start applying a little more pressure. So rather than just tap, tap like this, I might kind of thump him on the elbows, or even take my spur in the belly. And you see how that sped him up a little? Then just instantly release and say, look, there's a reason for you to put that little more effort in. For a lazy horse, give him a nice big break afterwards, and he'll say, oh, wow, if I try a little harder now, it means I get to rest more later. They'll really start to try for you. You may not be able to get it as long, as quick, as a kind of a more energetic type of horse, but you will get it there eventually. You just always have to understand they need a reason to try for you. So anyway, guys, I love both of these colts to death. I think they're both very good to look at. They're bred well, and they're just fun to be around, and I just can't wait to show you their progression more and more. They're so different, but I think that's what makes them fun. I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks again.